There's a panel session going on of Nandan Nilekani, the co-founder of Infosys, and Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic AI. Let's cut across.
Nandan, Dario, welcome. Dario, great speech in the morning. You mentioned that we are in the end of or towards the end of the exponential. This is something that you spoke about in Machines of Loving Grace, that we would have a country of geniuses in a data center. And the models over the last, I guess, 2 months have been sort of giving us a sense that we're getting there. But in your podcast with Dwarkesh, you sort of walked that back a bit by saying, we may reach a country of geniuses in a data center, but the impact on society will take a long time. Can you explain what that means? Because we thought we'd do AGI and we would be finished and done with it.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Rahul. I would say there is this duality between the fundamental capabilities of the technology and the time that it takes for those capabilities to diffuse into the world, right? We're getting models that are very good at software engineering, that are increasingly good at, biomedical innovation. We're not there yet, but we're on this very fast exponential. But when I look across the world and I look across the enterprises of the world, we have many enterprises as customers. Even if we freezed in place what the technology was capable of today, I think the economic impact could be much greater than it is, because it just takes time. There are just frictions to adopt things through enterprises, and I think even more so in the developing world. And when I visited Infosys, one of the things I talked about with Nandan was the we're both obviously very interested in making sure that this technology gets to everyone, and Nandan has devoted a big part of his life to many things in that direction, and has built out India's digital public infrastructure. And so I think this question of diffusion is very tied to the question of how do we make sure that everyone benefits.
So when the foundation models came, Nandan, you said that we should do use cases. And it sounds like Dario is saying the same thing, that even if we do the foundation model, we will still need to do use cases.
No, I think it's great what the foundations models are doing and the speed of evolution. But what we have learned is that diffusion of technology is a different ballgame. And how do you get technology to 1 billion people? And I think India, we have a little bit of experience with that. 1.4 billion people on Aadhaar, 500 million people on UPI, 20 billion transactions a month, the world's largest cash transfer system, the largest financial inclusion system, you name it, all that stuff. And we learned that diffusion is a technique. It's both an art and a science. It involves institutions, it involves policy making, negotiations, dealing with incumbents, dealing with newcomers, strategies for execution. So the whole, trust building, so a whole host of things. And I think if all the investments in AI are going to deliver the value to society, not just to individuals, we'll have to look at diffusion pathways to take this to everyone. And I think India will lead on that. That's why I've always been saying that India should focus on becoming the use case capital of the world.
Dario, you had a more recent essay, which you call The Adolescence of Technology, which is a little more somber. Spoke a little bit about sort of dimming the enthusiasm of the first essay. And I want you to perhaps unpack that a little bit. We all have spoken about the risks of the technology, but particularly in the global south, where we think that AI is going to be hugely beneficial for us, we perhaps will have a different calculus on the risk-reward ratio. What do you think about that, and how would your essay address that?
I think that's an insightful comment, which is that I think in the global south there's an opportunity for AI to accelerate catch-up growth, to solve a bunch of problems that are in the way of catch-up growth. And so I think AI is a technology that has big risks and big benefits, but in the global south, the benefits may be even bigger than they are anywhere else. But at the same time, that doesn't mean, of course, that the risks aren't real. India is the world's largest democracy. We need to think about how democracies handle AI, and how we confront other countries that are authoritarian. That's one of the risks I talk about. Another risk I talk about is making sure that AI systems are safe and predictable, and autonomously behave in a way that's under our control. And everyone in the world has to worry about that. That affects everyone in the world. And then, I think of particular relevance to India is, the concerns I raised around economic displacement, right? Where, I think the signature of this technology is going to be that it greatly grows the economic pie for the whole world. And again, huge upside because of the opportunity for catch-up growth. Like, growth can be very, very fast. But there things are going to change, and there's some potential for disruption. And I think what I've been thinking about as I visited India these last few days, and the last time I visited, is how can we work together with the companies in India to kind of drive this growth for everyone, to make sure that the existing companies, large and small, continue to prosper along with us and the other makers of AI, and also on a philanthropic basis, how we make sure that the benefits reach everyone, both in an economic sense, in a health sense, in kind of other senses. So I think India is, it kind of offers a particularly keen distillation of especially the benefits, but also the risks.
Nandan, you've had experience with an adolescent technology with the whole DPI. In the early days of DPI, it was challenging. There were challenges with getting the big vision, which of course now we're looking at, and in hindsight it looks like it was easy, but the early days was difficult. So, as the father of a mature technology, would you want to give the father of an adolescent some advice?
I know that makes me a grandfather. So I think when you talk about diffusion, and you have to think of AI. Everybody agrees is like a general purpose technology. Like people give the simile to fire or electricity or whatever. It's about starting from the user and how can we improve their lives. How can we take 1 billion people and help them to learn better? How can we take 1 billion people and give them better healthcare? How can we take 500 million farmers and improve their earnings? You have to start from there and then figure out how to make it happen. And it's not just technology. Technology is just one piece of the puzzle. It's about institutions. It's about trust building. It's about negotiations. It's about guardrails, which Dario mentioned. It's about working with different stakeholders and making them go towards a common vision. So it's diffusion is difficult. It's not a simple task. So I feel that India will demonstrate this because we have the experience of diffusion at population scale in all the various areas. And obviously, diffusion of AI, there are some differences that we need to think about, data, guardrails, and so on. But I think we can build a pathway or multiple pathways to that goal. And that will show the world, because I believe right now in AI, there's a race to the top and a race to the bottom. And the race to the bottom is faster than the race to the top. So I think all of us who have a stake in AI being useful to humanity have to accelerate and redouble our efforts to make the diffusion happen. Otherwise, the consequences are going to be very, very difficult, because there's going to be a backlash. If the only thing that AI does is create deep fakes or raise the price of your power bill, or all the other things that are happening, people are going to respond. I mean, the resentment of the blue collar worker led to the train wreck of globalization. The resentment of the white collar worker is going to lead to the train wreck of AI. So I think we really have to work very hard to show profound, useful cases of AI.
Dario, you were in India in October, and you're back again now. You spend a lot of time actually with the developer community. You clearly were impressed because you've come back so quickly. Could you tell us a little bit about, what your experience is with how India is building and using AI? Perhaps just go through the stack. I mean, enterprise, small business, startups, then developers. What's different about the way India does it?
Yeah, so I would say there's just an excitement here and technical acumen, and we can even see it in the statistics of usage of Claude. Use of Claude for technical kind of programming and software engineering, mathematical tasks, the fraction is substantially higher here in India than it is in most other places in the world. And every time I go to speak at one of these, we'll host these builder or developer events in India. Just there's a lot of excitement. I can feel the brimming excitement of like, what is something that we can build. In just the last 4 months, the use of Claude and Claude Code has doubled. Has doubled in India, and I'm sure it's the same for the other. I don't say that to promote Claude and Claude Code. Like, it's more a statement about the kind of excitement in India on the enterprise level. I mean, the two of us just announced a partnership just yesterday. So we're really excited to work with all the large enterprises in India. They